let's talk about something absolutely fascinating, the psychology of money. We're going to dive into this incredible idea that when it comes to being successful with your finances, it's not really about how smart you are. No, it's about how you act, your behavior. That's your real financial superpower.
And this quote from Napoleon, it just hits the nail on the head. It's the perfect way to kick this off. Success with money isn't about some secret formula or being a genius. It's all about temperament, about your ability to just stay calm and carry on when everyone else is, well, freaking out.
And that brings us to our first story. It's a tale of two fortunes, and honestly, it's a real-life paradox. We've got two guys whose financial lives ended up in places you would never, ever expect. It's the perfect illustration of what we're talking about. Okay, so check this out. The contrast here is just staggering. On one side, you have this tech executive, a certified genius who was so successful he was literally, and I mean literally, throwing gold coins into the ocean for fun. His outcome? He went completely broke. And on the other side, a guy named Ronald Reed, a janitor. No college degree, no special training, no powerful connections. He just quietly and patiently put his money into good, solid companies. And his outcome? He died with an $8 million fortune.
So you have to ask yourself, how on earth is that possible? I mean, think about it. In almost any other field, that's just unthinkable. You'd never see a janitor with no training perform a better heart surgery than a top surgeon. But with money, it happens. And that's what makes finance so unique. It's not just about numbers, it's deeply, deeply psychological.
And that really gets to the core of it all, the main idea of this whole explainer. Financial success is not a hard science like physics. It's a soft skill. It's all about how you behave. And that is so much more important than what you know. So if it's not all about intelligence, what else is at play? Well, that brings us to two massive, unseen forces that are always shaping our lives: luck and its identical twin, risk. Let's talk about Bill Gates. We all know he's brilliant, but a huge part of his story comes down to a 1 in a million stroke of pure luck. See, back in 1968, the odds of a teenager being at a high school that even had a computer were, well, basically zero. But Bill Gates' school did. It was just an unbelievable, incredible head start. But here's the flip side of that exact same coin. We see the same 1 in a million odds, but this time with a tragic outcome. Kent Evans was Bill Gates' best friend. He was just as smart, just as driven. They were going to take over the world together. But Kent died in a high school mountaineering accident. It's a brutal reminder that luck and risk are really the same force, just pointing in opposite directions.
So what's the takeaway here? It's that the world is just way too complex for your actions alone to determine everything that happens to you. You got to respect that. You got to realize that success is never as good as it seems, and failure is never as bad as it seems. There's always more to the story.
Okay, so we've talked about these big external forces. Now let's pivot and look inward at our own behavior. This brings us to the art of staying wealthy. Because let me tell you, getting rich and staying rich are two completely, totally different skills. Yeah, just look at the difference here. Getting wealthy often requires taking big risks, being really optimistic, and just putting yourself out there. But staying wealthy, that's a whole different game. It demands humility, a little bit of fear, a real survival mindset that understands just how fast all that money can vanish. You know, this idea of a survival mindset is captured perfectly in a story about the author Joseph Heller. He's at a party and someone points out that a hedge fund manager made more money in a single day than Heller's famous novel Catch-22 had earned in its entire history. And Heller's reply was just perfect. He said, "Yes, but I have something he will never have. Enough." Wow. Knowing when you have enough, that is your best defense against taking stupid risks you don't need to take. And this brings us to a super important definition, the difference between being rich and being wealthy. See, being rich is about your current income. It's flashy, it's visible. That $100,000 car, it's a sign someone is rich. But all it really means is they have $100,000 less than they did before. Being wealthy, that's hidden. It's the income you don't spend. Wealth is the nice car you didn't buy. It's what people don't see, and its real power is the freedom and flexibility it buys you down the road. So that's all the theory, but how do we actually turn this into a practical game plan? Let's talk about building your money mindset with 3 key principles that will help you build real, lasting wealth. Think of these 3 behaviors as your financial superpower. Number 1, less ego, more wealth. Number 2, aim for what's reasonable, not what's perfectly rational on a spreadsheet. And number 3, use your money to gain control over your own time. All right, first up, less ego, more wealth. Saving money, it's really just the gap between your ego and your income. That's it. Think about the man in the car paradox. When you see someone in a fancy sports car, what do you think? You think, wow, what a cool car. You don't think, wow, that person driving must be amazing. You admire the thing, not the person. If you really want respect, focus on kindness and humility, because true wealth is quiet. It's what you don't see. Second, and this one is huge, aim to be reasonable, not coldly rational. You are not a spreadsheet. You're an emotional human being. The financial plan that looks perfect on paper is totally useless if you abandon it the second things get scary. That's why the absolute best financial plan is the one that lets you sleep at night. Your goal should be minimizing future regret, not chasing every last penny of mathematical returns. And finally, we get to the ultimate goal, the whole point of this exercise. Use your money to gain control. The ability to wake up in the morning and say, I can do whatever I want today, that is absolutely priceless. That freedom, that autonomy over your own time, that is the highest dividend money will ever pay. It's not about buying fancy stuff. It's about owning your life. And all of this leaves us with one final, provocative question that you really need to ask yourself. What game are you playing? It is so critical to know your own goals, your own time horizon, your own reasons for doing what you're doing. Because if you don't, you'll start getting influenced by people who are playing a totally different game than you are. Know your game. That's how you win.